Only two emotions should be felt when the name Dino is brought into conversation. One being fear, ladies, and two being lust, men. I've been known to be the cause of many a salty mouth in my day, and many a drooling of saliva. However, for how handsome and drop-dead gorgeous I am, that's pretty much all I have going for me. Sure, it would be nice to have been born with some God-given talent, but unfortunately I was just lobbed onto this earth with the towering height of 5'8", and the most complete and not patchy beard you've ever seen in your life. However, everybody is not like me, and some men were given the Midas touch from the minute that they were squeezed out of their mother's womb. One such of these men is a man who goes by the name Omah. And without sounding presumptuous, I can only assume that you've probably never heard of him before. That's because you're not from the island like me, boy. The Southern African Isles, Bumbaklart. Hence why you've never heard of this Nigerian pop singer. But I can assure you, he is mega famous in Africa. And unfortunately, the reason you've never heard of him is because Nigerian artists don't get much international play, except for when they literally get whitewashed with Selena Gomez on their track. Baby, calm down, I got this white girl. White girl, I'm gonna make it marketable, which is a crying shame because the majority of African artists are incredibly talented, and Omah is certainly not the exception to that rule. Granted though, I don't fully understand what he's saying. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand anything he's saying, because like I said, I'm from the island, man, so me no one understand him. Me only listen to me own people's music, brethren. However, talented or not, we're not actually here to talk about whether or not he can sing. We're actually here to talk about whether or not he should be singing in the way he does. Because my friend Omah recently did a little bit of a sexy international tour, and one of the stops on his tour was London. Now, I wasn't lying when I was saying Nigerian recording artists don't get nearly as much love as they deserve internationally, but there are certain pockets of the world where large Nigerian immigrant bases are, and London and Birmingham happens to be one of those. Just like the Windrush scandal brought a bunch of my people from the islands of Jamaica seeking better opportunity and a better life, there's a huge population of third-generation Nigerians living in those central cities for the exact same reasons. And a lot of those third-generation Nigerians still understand their language because some of their parents were kind enough to teach it to them, as opposed to never speaking a single word of Nigerian to them and only English, and then getting angry at those kids when they grow up and don't understand their own mother tongue. This isn't the same thing, but it's kind of a similar story. I literally knew a kid whose parents got so pissed off at him the one day when I was over to play FIFA, they started trying to hit him with a belt. The reason why is because he couldn't speak English properly, even though they only spoke Xhosa in the household. Point being, when he has shows in London, they tend to be highly coveted events. Another thing I'd like to say, and I'm sorry to generalize, Nigerians tend to be very horny, so that combined with the fact that Omah is a Nigerian R&B singer, the horniest type of music, disaster was bound to strike eventually, and so it did. As during one of Omah's concerts where he was performing his hit song Benju, I'll let your imagination try and figure out what it's about with some of these lyrics, he invited a young lady up on stage. I think it's best if I show you what happened after that. Par for the course, you might scoff, I'm sure. A young harlot getting her young hoe on. And I'm inclined to agree. I'm all for shaking your nasty and your goodness when time requires. The problem is, you haven't yet seen what happened just slightly off camera. I know it's difficult for a lot of you to read emotions, so for your own sanity and clarity, the man with the pained expression on his face is the woman on stage's actual boyfriend. Not a situationship, not a friendship, not a tickle of the tip, just a real relationship. And he was just humiliated in front of a crowd of thousands by basically, and I hate using this word because I think it's an ugly word, being cucked. To add salt to injury, there's even footage of the man leaving the arena being recorded by what I think is a woman but sounds like a troll from Lord of the Rings. That's Star Wars. Whatever, dude, I was the cool guy in high school. I didn't have time for nerdy things. While you were watching your stupid lame programs, I was on the wrestling team. You're looking at the Western Cape champion. Granted, I was in a private school and it was only me and my teacher, and he said I'd win as long as I stayed quiet, but I still got jock flowing through this muscles, baby. Regardless, that should have been the end of the the entire situation. And typically it would be this man would have taken an extraordinarily major, unfortunate L. His date would have got away with it scot-free, and you would have carried on with your life of never hearing the name Amalea. But thankfully, we don't live in that reality. We live in the reality where stuff like this goes viral. And so it did, making the rounds on Twitter. Everybody and their mother's goat was talking about this. You couldn't escape it. And suddenly, inadvertently, somehow Amalea became an international celebrity. But not for the reasons he would have liked. Amalea was rather known as the footnote in the situation, and it was all about the man who got cucked. Who I'm still gonna have to refer lovingly, of course, as the Amalea concert guy, because try as I might, I can't find any information on his real name anywhere. Regardless, the story kept getting bigger, with bigger and bigger names talking about it, until eventually it reached one of the biggest names in the streaming game. Although ironically, it's probably one of the littlest streamers, Kai Cenat. Ever the businessman, upon hearing about Amalea concert guy's misfortune, Kai Cenat decided to put his Oompa Loompa leg in the steaming pile of internet shit, and not only reached out to the woman who went on stage, who had this unhinged and deluded response.
She replied, "Damn!" I said, let me know if you want to talk on stream to tell your side of the story. She said, "Hi, thank you for reaching out. I'm definitely interested in collaborating with you. However, I'd appreciate it if we could discuss compensation for my time and my contribution."
But he then also reached out to the man who unfortunately had to watch his girlfriend do the nasty behind a ghost sheet. Ooh, I'm dry humping your girlfriend. And brought him onto his live stream to give his side of events.
Yes, my brother! Yo, first thing I want to say, bro, is welcome and I appreciate you.
In this live stream, it was clarified that the couple wasn't in fact together for 7 years like it was being run with, but had only been together for a year. Kai Cenat then decided to take it one step further, and reportedly gave the man 20k as well as invited him onto one of his shows. Well, not really his show, sorry, a video where the concept was 20v1. 20 women, 1 man, and then the eventual winner out of all of the women goes on a date with the man. At the very least, I have to acknowledge that's a kind gesture. The Amalea concert guy's fortunes continued to increase, as he was then offered, and did, a Morley's chicken ad. Morley's is pretty much the KFC of London. Their chicken's pretty good, and I'm sure he would have at least got a healthy payday out of all of that. In the end, it all seemed to work out in his favor, and unfortunately for the woman who went upstage, it doesn't appear that anybody's even willing to listen to her side of events, apart from me. Quick summary of her arguments as to why she's kind of blameless, but kind of isn't, she doesn't really make excuses, is 1, she bought the concert tickets, and 2, that's pretty much all of it. She also apparently further clarified that she apparently spoke to her man behind the scenes about it, and quote unquote feels like she needs to come forward publicly to address the situation in her own words. If this was her response to Kai Cenat's invitation to her stream, and her response was she wanted to quote unquote speak about it publicly, I feel pretty confident in saying this woman's just a slight bit deluded. And in the great lyrical words of Ice Spice, baby girl, you're the fart, not the shit. Where does this leave us all in all? Nowhere really. It's a meaningless situation that kind of worked out for the best. Truth be told, in a week's time, and I'm sorry to say this, Amalea guy will be forgotten to the wind. The Amalea girl, whose real name is Jessani, will also be forgotten to the wind, and Amalea himself will continue to just be an African centrist artist. Unless there's a huge cultural shift somewhere around the world, where girls who like BTS all of a sudden become huge Afro stans. Truth be told, it seems incredibly unlikely to me, because those bitches are racist, and only enjoy foreign music when it's been tailored specifically to their little ears. Unlike me, who's very cultural, and don't want guan like all of the music. If you wanna support an island boy such as myself, you gonna don't hit the bomba clat subscribe button. That's all I have to say on the meta, guys. Bye bye.